Welcome back, everybody. Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush has been the center of some headlines lately over her security guard hire, Nathaniel Davis III. Since being on the Congresswoman's payroll, Davis has received around $137,000 from her campaign over the course of 3 years, which appears to make him the highest paid independent person for security services in Washington. This is according to the Federal Election Commission filings. Why is he getting compensated so well? Is he just the cream of the crop of security guards? No, probably not. We know meritocracy is not good practice for Democrats. Diversity in ideology is what they look for. And Nathaniel might be the most diverse and intersectional human being that we have ever seen in history. David is a 109 trillion years old intergalactic master of psychic self-defense. This according to himself. If you want to know more about this man, this very interesting man, you're in luck.
The book of Luqman is the most powerful book of magic in the Quran. The book of wisdom. That's why it's the book of wisdom. I got a surah in there that make tornadoes. Nature alchemy. That'll be your religion. Want to learn how to make a tornado? Want to learn how to make it rain? Want to learn how to manipulate lightning? We got that science around here.
It almost makes his ties to the anti-Semitic Black Panther Party seem obsolete and irrelevant. But the fact that he hates Jews might be the reason Cori Bush hired him to begin with. After doing a little bit of digging, we found that David also spends his time teaching St. Louis's black community to grow their own food, which sounds like a good thing at first, teaching them to do a little gardening until you dig a little deeper. He does this so that kids can, quote, liberate themselves from a genocidal Jewish cabal that runs the world. He even maintains an urban garden so he doesn't have to buy food from Jewish people. It's interesting, to say the least. Joining me now is host of Off Limits with Ian Haworth, Ian himself. Ian, thanks for being here. Great to have you. As a Jewish man, how do you feel that someone would go so far to not buy food from someone like yourself that they're teaching kids how to garden?
I didn't even know I was in the food business. I thought I was in controlling the weather business. So it's every day I have a new theory of what part of the world I'm controlling. Of course, it's all absolutely absurd, but I think it also demonstrates a massive blind spot in the Democratic Party. They have anti-Semitism in the black community. This isn't exactly the first example we've seen. You got Louis Farrakhan, who's been promoting anti-Semitic bile for years. The same with Al Sharpton, Ilhan Omar, and it just goes on and on. And I think the fact is that when you look at the anti-Semitic violence that's happening as a result of a lot of this rhetoric in places like New York City, it's not a bunch of white supremacists marching around the streets of New York City. Of course, white supremacist anti-Semitism is a massive problem as well. But the fact is the Democratic Party do not care about anti-Semitism if it's coming from one community over another. I think this is just one of the most absurd examples I've seen. The fact that he thinks that not buying food from Jews is going to save you. I mean, I don't know where to start with that flawed logic right there.
Well, and he also says that the Jews started COVID, that they're the ones who unleashed this pandemic on the world. I haven't admittedly done a fact check into that, but judging by the news, everything that I've been hearing lately, I don't think COVID came from Israel. Ian, can you help us make sense of this claim? Where is he getting this idea?
I'm not sure he could point Israel out on a map, honestly, and so I'm not too concerned about his theories on where COVID came from. I think it's quite clear COVID came from China. We've known that from the very start. I mean, how complicated would it have to be for Jews to not only create COVID that wasn't even that effective in terms of wiping out the entire population? The number of Jews who are doctors, I think we could come up with something better, honestly. And so it's just ridiculous on its face. But again, let's look at this and play it from the other side. Imagine any Republican had someone on the payroll who believed this about Jews and they were white. Can you imagine the outrage and the uproar on CNN, New York Times, Washington Post? They would be talking about this nonstop. But because it's a black Democrat, no one cares. That's the issue for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty big issue, I would say. And even his Facebook post, people have done a lot of digging from this guy since they found out he was, getting paid by Cori Bush. Here's a post he put on Facebook that says, My anger brings tornadoes, hurricanes, and waterspouts, not just rain. I'm not upset over anything. My energy set in motion, known as emotions, are tied to nature, and it's very destructive. I'm actually in a very good mood. So right there, Ian, if anyone's capable of unleashing a virus on the world, it sounds like it would be him, since he says that he can create tornadoes and hurricanes and waterspouts.
I mean, maybe he should just be spending his time actually controlling the weather and doing some good rather than just blaming Jews for all the wrong things in life. I mean, what can you have to say? I mean, people who are old on Facebook tend to say some crazy things. And if he truly is 109 trillion years old, I guess the craziness just keeps on going.
Yeah, this is quite. I mean, this has to have transgender activists in a frenzy right now. They did not know that they could use this kind of victimhood currency before. That something this intersectional was out there. So I have a feeling we're going to see some more intergalactic trillion-year-old gurus in the future. That's probably going to be added to the LGBT umbrella. We'll have to see. It's coming. Ian Haworth from Off Limits. Great to see you again, buddy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.